I'm sure, I'm more than positive. Church camp was something I looked forward to years ago. This is BROKEMAN Radio. This is Clay. But getting back to the stories the legendary stories of BROKEMAN Radio. So every year I went to church camp. It was a thing, and it was always a good time. And until this one year, I'm not going to exaggerate, lie, play around. This year was the off year of the bunch. So this place is located in the middle of nowhere. When I mean the middle of nowhere, I mean you've seen the movie Deliverance. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but this place here is probably qualifies as one of the smallest, desolate places on earth. Okay, it's in Georgia, but honest to goodness, you'll never hear of it again unless you're going to this particular camp, Camp Adrian. All right, named after the beautiful city there, population 3. But yeah, this year was off. They would split you up in teams, and for the entire week, that's your team. That is your team right there. As they say, team 1, 2, 3, and 4. The minute you get off the van, all right, they be like, you're on team 2. Say, yeah, I was on team 2, and you know, you have one leader, and that's somebody that's an adult that apparently had nothing better to do with their summer than to volunteer their sweet time and come out there to the middle of nowhere and be the leader now of all these kids. We're talking, and each team probably had about 40, 50 people. And during the week, I just kind of noticed as a kid, kids are pretty observant. I know I was. I'm realizing something ain't quite right with my team leader over here. He was this curly-headed guy, and he had this cock eye, and you couldn't tell if he was looking at you or he was looking to this. You couldn't tell. Okay, let's just put it like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people were thinking that he's just a little bit goofy, a little bit. No, I knew something. Can't put my finger on it, but something ain't right with this dude. But we started losing every event. We're talking destroyed, slaughtered. I'm very competitive. Back then, especially as a kid, very competitive. I played baseball and backyard sports in the neighborhood and everything. So, you know, I was considered, especially to myself, to be pretty good at sports or whatever. But this guy did not care. He was the everything's all right, everybody high five, but we just lost, and I'm not down with it. So we lost everything for the entire week. I mean, it don't matter what it was, we lost. I mean, it could have been just a competition to run an egg across the room at night. No, we would lose. Team 2 lost everything. So the end of the week came, they were giving out awards and all these different things, and it was, you know, the end of the week type deal. You know, first team, you're champions. Yay, we're champions. And I think they got some special thing like some candy or some ice cream and all this other stuff. And everybody's like, yay, good job. So I'm thinking to myself, we just got to investigate this thing. What just happened? I mean, we lost. This ain't like me. This ain't how we roll. But they have a service at the very end of the church camp. And team 2, okay, team 2, you know, team 2, my team, their leader stood up at the very last service. We're talking about, we're leaving. And we got like an hour or two before we leave, okay? And it's time to go back to his house. Long drive back to Thomasville, Georgia. And we're over here with Deliverance. So he stood up, everybody got real quiet, and he had I told you, crazy look on him. Look, this dude looked crazy. He looked crazy. Like he'd been smoking crack for a week straight before he got dropped off at the camp. No joke, all right? But so he stands up at this service, and he confesses for like, I swear it felt like an hour. But then everything made sense, and now I really wanted my money back for going to this camp. So turns out, crazy guy had been doing drugs all week long, and his exact words were, okay, I've been, it's like an Elvis confession you hear, you know, from one of the recordings, you know. Me and my dad used to call back in the 80s, but this guy stands up, He goes, I've been popping pills all week long. You know, I really, no jokes about it, wanted my money back at that very moment. If I could have found anybody that would listen to my plea. Listen, I didn't come all the way from deep South Georgia to North Georgia to lose. All right, it was very personable for me as a 10, 11-year-old kid, you know, not to come in last place, but things too crazy. Okay, and the late confession over here. Maybe we could have got another counselor. Maybe somebody that's not on drugs. I don't know, but it was crazy. And you know, if you ever seen your kids to church camp, all right, which everybody does, or just camp in general, just remember, and nowadays you got cell phones, and probably it was like a concentration camp back then, because you called home if something was dire wrong. All right, I think I called one time in probably 5 years that I ever called home from camp. And that was because my dog got run over, and it got run over the day before I left, and it was still alive, and it did live. But I called home just to see if she lived, and she did. That was amazing. But anyways, back to it. Church camp in the 80s. It was crazy. This is Broke Man Radio with a church camp story.